Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away. Look, check this out. I haven't worn this in ages. In fact, I haven't done one of these builds for ages. It's been a few months, but today I'm going to be continuing it. Pack 7 of the Fanhome release, a build Star Trek Enterprise D. So we're not going to need the magazine until we get to the stage. In fact, the stages we're going to be doing are stages 23 to 26. But I thought something that's going to be a big help to you, I think, is to talk about how to get panels aligned perfectly flat in this. And I've got a real tip for the saucer section first. Don't worry about things like this. These get pulled together by the side piece, so don't worry about that. But if I just turn this over, an important thing you need to know is anything that's related to plates onto metal is always going to be these screws here without the flange on. So if you've got any wobbles in the plates, it's always going to be these screws. These screws, which have got the flange on, are simply to hold the reflectors to the plate behind, and they're not going to affect any placement of the plates. If you keep that mentality in your mind, then you'll know which screws that you need to adjust to get the plates fitting perfectly flat. The other thing is to make sure, obviously, that when we're actually going through these frame sections and we've got the wires coming out, that we have got them in a place that the wires are not impeding the frame here. If you have, or one of these wires that are coming from the LEDs are impeding, again, you're not going to get flat laying plates. So that's just the saucer section, and obviously that's how mine is looking at the moment. Now let me just show you the bridge section. And I think this is going to be one of the ones to show you on the top camera. Now, I've really minimized the gap there that I had in here. And the way I've done this, if I just show you, I'm trying to, it's pretty hard to show you, but if I show you on the top camera here, it's all to do with these LEDs here and here. If you've got a big gap, it's because the LEDs here and here are impeding the frame. You need to make sure that the wire here and here isn't impeding this block section on these 2 points here. So it's those LEDs, if you have got a gap, which are stopping you from closing that completely there. But I'm hoping just pointing that out to you is going to solve that issue for you. Now, I will explain that more as we go on and we're fitting more plates, and I think today that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So if you want to get this for yourself, almost forgot that bit there, it's the links down here to the Fanhome website, and there's also a QR code on the screen. But let's get this going. Without further ado, engage. So here is the issue 7 magazine, and at the start of the magazine we do get a quick inventory of parts that we've got, but we are going to be working on stage 23, which means I'm going to be getting the battery box here. What are we doing? We're going to be inserting 3 AA batteries not supplied into the saucer battery box. Are they giving us a battery box in this one? I don't think they are. I think it's what we've had last time. So it's just the top. Look, they've gave us the actual top section of the battery box here. So we're going to have another battery box. We're putting some more life rafts and windows in. We're going to be putting another panel in here. And then, as you can see there, we're going to be testing it. Now, I won't show you the other stages, but what I will show you is what is in the rest of the magazine here. Some of the stories. We don't need to do that every stage, you see, but there is quite a lot of information regarding the design of the ships and pretty much a complete overview of the Star Trek Next Generation series. There you go. So if I just bring up the battery box that we had last time, so it's looking like this, but as you can see, it hasn't got a top on it. So if I open stage 23, all I'm going to do is open this battery box screw, insert 3 AA batteries in here, making sure they're the right way round. So one this way, one that way, and one facing down there. And then quite simply, the top is just going to go over here. So I just want to ensure that the lips are going into the slots there and there. Perfect. So it's got a kind of spring on it, and then lock that section in. And then I'm going to be putting the screw in and screwing that into place. Now the next plate we've got is a metal plate. So I'm going to take this out of the protection, bring over my helping hands. I did have some heat shrink on these, but don't know where that is. So I'm just wrapping the crocodile clips here in a bit of insulating tape. which will enable me to just hold this in my helping hands. And then it's a case of just putting the lifeboats in here and the windows just in this side here. So you know me. Now, just to aid with a little bit of light block here, I am going to put some insulating tape just over the top of this, in here like that. That will make sure that they're seated perfectly in there. Then I'll use my scalpel to just cut around the edge. And there we go, that looks good. Okay, bring up the saucer section, and it's this area that we're going to be working on. So I'm going to offer this from the underside. Make sure I've got no wires pinching. And there we go, that's lined up into place there. Now what I'm also checking from the other side, if I turn it over, is if this has any lips on it. Now the lip for this section is actually on this piece here. So when I push this down, this should fit perfectly in there. Hopefully on the side camera there you can see just like that. Okay, so we're going to screw this in. So remember, the most important screws here, the BM screws, the ones that's going to make the plate fit flat in here. So I'm putting them in first. Now I have put oil on these, and you do want these to go tight because we are going into metal. And altogether, by the look of it, there's 6 of these screws to put in. Now even though that's the plating, you'll notice that I've got 2 LEDs here, which are going to need to go into these sections here. So I haven't put any of the flange screws in yet. So what I can now do is just push these into place. So one in there. Perfect. And one in the other side. If you are having trouble getting those in, you can loosen those BM screws up just a touch, because this one's being a bit stubborn. Now remember what I said to you at the start. What you want to do now is check that that is lovely and smooth in those 2 areas, which it is, because the next screws we're going to put in have no bearing on the how the plate is sitting. So I'm going to be using EM screws, as you can see here, and all these are going to be doing is ensuring that those LEDs that we've just put in don't come out. They're going to go into the 4 positions here. You do want them tight, but not too tight. That's enough. And there's 4 of these to put in. And then bringing over this battery board here, I can test 3 of these things out. So let's test the ones I've just put in. So I'm just going to put these in now into the battery box. One here, and I'll pick a random one. Let's just pick one over here, seeing as we've got 3 points on this. That's how that's looking when that's in. And that's all there is to do in that stage. Now, big pack this one. Look, stage 24. Let's get this open. I'm going to get everything out because there's a lot in this one. And the first piece we need is this metal piece looking just like this. Once again, I've put this in my clamp here, and I am going to be putting some blackout just behind these lifeboats as well. But let's click my fingers, and there we go. That's that in. I can gently just take this out, because I'm going to be putting the reflectors on, lying that down very gently, because I need to put the first reflector on here, which is going over the top, just like that. Now that's held in with EM screws. I will put these in, but not very tight, because I need to slip in the LED that's going to go in there. Remember, we are going into metal. So I have put that in some oil. Now this is the LED that I'm going to be putting in. So I'll just put the black and yellow one in first. I haven't tightened those all the way up, just until I can get this in. Perfect. When that's in, tighten those 2 up. And then I'm just going to put the other 2 EM screws in. Now at this point, we don't want to worry too much about bending these all the way up, just enough so I can get the next panel in. This is the next panel here, and I'm going to be having the blue and red going into this side here. So what I'll do is I'll line this up this time with this on top to ensure that that's already locked in there. That looks good. and then hold that in with EM screws. Now I'm only going to put one in because just down the bottom there, I do have one LED on its own. It's a singular one, just going into the side here. That's locked in place. Now I can put the other EM screws in. And there you go. When they're all in, they should look like that from behind and that from that side there. Now let's just check that these are working. So got my board here, just in case of plugging these in. One. I have a little mini one here as well. That one's two. And again, if I turn the lights out, that is how that's looking. Very good. Now what I want to do is this wire here, I want to nest in between this section just here at the moment. So what I want to do is put these wires and push them down just on the yellow and black ones, so they're fitting snug in that section there. So we're going to be putting this into the saucer section. And this time I'm working on this section just here. So the blue and red and yellow and black wire is going to go through this square just here. And then the singular wire I've got here is going to go into this little triangular section here. Now if you have a look at this, if I just thread that through, you'll see that there's a little notch in the frame here. So when this lies over, it's going to accommodate that wire, no problems at all. It's going to kind of sit like that. Now the lip is on this plate here, so this is just going to fit basically over everything. So it's a case of putting it at an angle here and getting this lined up with this section. You really do need to push it together like that. So we've got a nice seam in there, but no gap, if that makes sense. Now that is in perfect condition. So what I'm going to do is turn it over. It should hold itself in place because remember what I said before? We're going to be holding that in with BM screws because it's the BM screws which are holding these plates into place. So one at the top here, one in the middle here, and that is enough to actually hold that panel in because the rest of the panel, as you can see, is actually held in by those going into the lip just there. And with that in place, I can just put that to the floor because there was something we had to do right at the start of this, which I kind of skipped over, but I deliberately did that because I had the saucer section ready. And that's basically, we're going to be taking over this bridge section here. So what I'm going to be doing is putting another frame in, and this is what that frame looks like. Now I want to ensure that all the wires are going to go inside this frame when I put it in. So once I've got these sort of tidied up to where I want them, and I'm not pinching any holes here. So once I've tied the wires where I want on this side here, it's going to be fitting into the 3 lugs that I've got just on the bottom here like that. Perfect. Now it's going to be held in with BM screws. Again, I'm going into metal. So you do want this in nice and tight. One there, one over here. And then just one on this side here. So as you can see, all of the wires are inside this section. They're not going to get in the way. And then the last screw to put in is basically just this FM screw I've got, a bit of oil, and that's just going to be lining up the back section of this to pull that together there. So make that nice and tight. And there we go, that's in place. And with that in place, that is all there is to do in that stage. So stage 25 is very similar to what we've just done. We're basically going to be making a panel here, putting the reflectors in, and then we're going to be putting this into the saucer section and testing it, and then we're going to be putting the other side of this Cobra neck on, as you can see there. So again, here is everything that we've got in stage 25, and you can see how similar this is to stage 24. The difference this time is the panel that we're going to be putting the pieces in has a lot more windows to put in. So I'll get this done, show you what it looks like. And there you go, they're all in. Got to be a lot more gentle with this one though, because I've got to put a reflector on this without knocking any of the other stuff out. So this is going to be fun. This is what the reflector looks like. What I want to do is put this in first, just like that, without pressing down on the other side. Gently lay that down. Perfect. I need BP screws to secure this together. So one at the bottom first, just to keep that from going anywhere. But before I put the top ones in, I'm going to need the LED. Just split the end. And I want to put the yellow and white just through this side here. Excellent. Secure that in with another BP screw just further up here. And another one just in this side here. Now you notice I haven't connected this other cable in here. The black and, is it black and red? Green and red? Blue and red? I don't know. But just going to check that all of these parts are in. And then that looks like that. Now you will notice on this one, we do have a loose window in there. Don't worry, that's not going to be loose for too long. As soon as we put the LED in this side, it's going to push that LED out there. So time to bring the saucer section up. And this is going to be going down the front, probably best on the top camera onto this section just here. Now, what we need to do is feed both of these wires that we've got here through the square or rectangular hole I've got there. Just like this. Then I'm going to be lining up how this is going to fit. Now the lip is on this side, so this is going to fit on top of that. It's going to fit in just like that there. Pretty perfect. Let's turn this over. And this time I'm going to need a DP screw and screw that into this hole just here. Now before I put anything else in, I just want to see how that's sitting at the moment. That's okay. Now remember, I'm going to tighten that up there. It's this lip I'm trying to get rid of. Don't worry about this edge being out of line. Again, that's going to get pulled in later on. Now I'm going to be putting a DP screw into this side as well. But before I do that, I need to take the LED that we haven't used. That's going to go over the top here and then into this hole just there like that. Once that's in, then I can take the DP screw and screw that into place. Now I'm very conscious in the instructions that the wires may be switched around. They may have had the red and black that side, the yellow and white this side. It really doesn't make a difference, to be honest with you. So when that's in, it should look like that. As I said, with that window there, because the light's underneath it and pushing it up, that sorted that issue out. So let's put this on the floor. All I'm going to do then is take the other side of this cobra neck section, battle bridge section, whatever you want to call it. And again, I'm going to be hiding all the wires. The only thing I'm not going to be putting in is the switch. Just want to keep that out of the way, but I will line up the rest of these holes just like the other side into there like that. So now all the wires are contained, but what I need them to do is go through the bottom of this like this. Hopefully on the side camera you might be able to see this. There you go. And that's going to keep that tidy on that. All the wires coming underneath here, and they're all contained inside that little cage. So let's screw these down. That's BM screws. And then finally, I just need one FM screw. Which is just going to push this section at the back together. Down here. And with that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. So the last stage in this pack, as you can see, we're going to be doing another panel. So this is stage 26. Now you can see, I wasn't kidding when I say that you do get a hang of putting all of these together. So once again, just put all the windows in. And there you go. That's that one completed again. Okay, gently take this out. What you have to do is when you put this section on here, which is going to have the lights in, you can't really lie this down because it lifts the windows up. So what you have to do is kind of put this together in thin air. And then when you lie it down, the windows haven't got anywhere to go, you see. So that's like that. You really do need a steady hand when you do that. Okay, so I need BP screws. Now don't worry if I'm putting the wrong wire, coloured wire in each side. It doesn't really make a difference. But one BP screw is going to go in here. And then with the joint LED wire, I'm going to take the darker one, the red and black one. Just going to slot that into this one right at the side before I put these other two screws in here. You sort of need to bend this one round so it does come out the other side there, which will enable this to fit flat. I'm just checking this is all in place. That looks good. And then I can screw the other BP screws in. So if I show you on the close-up, that's how that's bent round into the channel there. Right, let's bring up the saucer section. This is going to go next to the one that we've just put in there. So once again, I can take these leads and just push them through this rectangular section. That's the plug and the LED. And then that will enable me, if I get that all the way through, to see how this is going to line up with the plate next to it. Now we will have to move this yellow and white LED next to it like that, so I can get this to go flush in here like that. Now the lip is on this side, so this is going to again fit on top. Perfect, just like that there. Now once again, we're going to be using DP screws, 2 of these, to keep them in. But I'm going to put one in one side, and I'm not going to put the other one in because I do have to put that LED in again. So, turn this over and screw one of the DP screws into here. And then this time, the white and yellow LED is going to be coming from this side over here. Matter of fact, you'll probably find you have a lot more success putting it in from this way round, because it will enable you to just wiggle that into place. And then we can just put the last DP screw in. So, holding it there, that's just going to go into that point there. Nice and tight. Perfect. Let's see how that looks. That looks really good. Now they do want me to just test that one. We've been testing lights as we go, and that's lit absolutely perfect. Once again, I'll just turn off the lights so you can see how that looks. And that is all there is to do in that stage. That's all there is to do in that pack. And there you go. That's how that's looking. And as you can see, all my panels are looking straight and smooth. It's all to do with how you position the wires. Now, if you do find later on in the build that you might have a little bit of light leak before those seams, don't worry. Continue to build. I'm going to be able to show you how to actually get rid of them later on. But that is looking pretty good. Excellent. Now, once again, if you want to get this for yourself, I have put a link in the video description. There's also a QR code on the screen, but I really hope you like that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.